A reflex is an involuntary sequence of events which occur almost instantaneously. It is an instantaneous response to a stimuli. So that is called as a reflex. A reflex involves the neuronal circuit or neuronal organization called as reflex arc. So what is a stimulus? A change in the environment is called a stimulus. That can be an external environment or an internal environment within the body. External environment change in that stimulus, maybe some light is falling or sound reflex or some other input which the body senses as danger, maybe a painful stimulus. That's external environment stimulus. Internal stimulus may be a stimulus like thirst, hunger, okay, or maybe a feeling like going to washroom, like micturition, defecation. All this is internal stimulus. Immediate response to that, usually the body responds by contraction of muscle helping in locomotion. Also, if the effector organ is gland, it helps by secretion, like the gastrointestinal tract. After you're hungry, if you eat food, there will be secretion throughout the GIT. So this is the brief introduction about the reflex. Moving on to the reflex arc, in simplest possible way you can understand reflex arc. If you're able to write a diagram like this and write 5 points of explanation in the exam, you'll get out of it. Let it be any reflex, you should understand that there are 5 components of a reflex arc. The first component is the receptor. What is a receptor? It is a sensory organ present on the surface of the skin or elsewhere. It has got a ability to sense the change in the environment. That is a stimulus. It is able to receive the sense of stimulus. For example, the pain receptor is free nerve ending. So whenever a painful stimulus is given, this free nerve ending will pick up that painful information. The neurotransmitter of that is substance P. So that is receptor. The second component is afferent neuron. So what is this afferent neuron? It is a neuron which connects the receptor to the center. So it is usually the pseudounipolar neuron present in the dorsal root ganglia or the sensory ganglia. This receives information from the receptor and carries to the spinal cord or the brain. Usually it's a spinal cord, and that neuron is called the afferent neuron. It can also be termed as a sensory neuron because it's carrying the sensory input to the center. Third component is the center, the decision making area where the synapse is there between the afferent neuron and efferent neuron is called as a center. Center usually makes the decision depending on the surrounding environment. For example, if somebody is pinching you in the class, you will not respond if the teacher is present. You will hold on to that reflex movement of your body. That is, the center is deciding not to move your body. But if at all the teacher goes away and if somebody pinches you, you immediately hit that person. That is, the center decides that enough is enough. I have to respond by hitting the other person who is pinching me. So that's how the center decides. The center is usually the spinal cord where there is a synapse between the afferent neuron and the efferent neuron, also called the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. Sensory neuron gives the information to the center, whereas the motor neuron takes the information away from the center. That is the next component. The fourth component is the motor neuron or the efferent neuron. This motor neuron or the efferent neuron begins from the ventral gray horn of spinal cord and goes towards the effector organ. So this motor neuron or the efferent neuron is usually a multipolar neuron situated in the ventral gray horn of spinal cord. It connects the center to the effector organ. So that is a function of the efferent neuron or the motor neuron. Usually the chemical substance released by the efferent neuron or the motor neuron is acetylcholine. And the last component of the reflex arc is effector organ. Effector organ is an organ which receives the input, the neurotransmitter. It receives the input from the efferent neuron or the motor neuron. This effector organ is usually a muscle, and it brings about the response by contraction of the muscle. So if muscle responds by contraction in any reflex, biceps jerk, triceps jerk, okay, supinator jerk, what does the muscle do? The muscle responds by contraction. You are stretching the tendon and it is responding by contraction. So this is a basic idea. If it is a gland, if the effector organ is a gland, how does a gland respond? Write in the comment section. If you remember, the answer starts from S and ends from N. So how does a gland respond? By producing something. What is it? Starting from S, ending from N. Kindly respond in the comment section. If you like the information, kindly share with your friends. Don't forget to like the video and share with your other friends. Subscribe to this channel if you find it beneficial. Thank you for watching and learning from Logic Medico. So in summary, the reflex arc consists of a receptor, afferent neuron, center, efferent neuron and effector organ. These are the 5 components of the reflex arc: receptor, afferent neuron, the center, the efferent or the motor neuron and the effector organ. Thank you once again for learning from Logic Medico.